Leylah Fernandez getting one win in Miami before losing to Ashlyn Kruger. Emma Raducanu, who famously defeated her in that U.S. Open final in 2021. Credit to her, finally building some momentum. 3 wins here in Miami, including her first ever top 10 hardcourt win as she scored a big upset over Emma Navarro. So a healthy Raducanu who's kind of playing week to week. I want to see her in the mix. I want to see her competing at the final stage of these events, getting herself into semifinals, etc.
Me too, and not just because she was born in Toronto and here in Canada, but I mean, her and Leilani Fernandez, I feel, will forever be intertwined, with what they went through at the U.S. Open years ago. And, I think for Leila Annie, I don't want to say it was better off losing that one, but my goodness, has Raducanu ever been under fire, especially from her press over in the UK? Ever since that one, people are just so incredibly tough on this kid, who's still only, 22 years old, I want to guess, at this stage. Like,
Yeah, 22. Yep.
give me a break. So anytime she gets some wins and is playing well, I'm very happy to see that. And for Leila Annie, it's been a bit of a tough season. I mean, she's ranked 26, so she's got the ranking up there, but it's been tough in terms of sustained wins and deep runs in the tournaments. I mean, other than beating Emma Navarro earlier this year in Qatar, there haven't been that many big victories for her, but she's keeping working on it. And Layla's someone who's never going to quit and never going to give up and always back to work hard and practice. But yeah, it'd be nice to see her have a little bit of a breakthrough. The clay is also a surface she's done well on in the past, being a junior French Open. Was she champion or
She was a
finalist?
champion.
Champion. And being just a win away from making the semis at the French Open as well a few years ago. So
Yeah.
I feel like the surface change for her is kind of negligible, that she can bring her A game no matter what she's playing on top of.
You mentioned WTA side, and yes, Mira Andreeva. Finally, the streak has come to an end. I mean, it had to at some point. And look, loses to, I think, a great talent we always talk about in Amanda Anisimova, someone we had on the podcast last summer, and someone who's a fantastic player. Falls in 3 sets, and the match-winning streak has finally ended. But look, I want to give kudos to you. You picked her to win Indian Wells. And, even if she doesn't win another WTA 1000 this season, to me, she's really cemented herself as this formidable young talent who's going to have so many opportunities to compete for Grand Slams over the next several years, I think.
It's nice every now and then when we get a big pick right from the start of a tournament. And not that she was a total long shot, of course, but I was really just feeling the way she was playing. And it's one of those moments where I don't bet on sports, but I was kind of kicking myself like, my God, if I had put like $100 down on that one before the tournament, what would that have turned into? That would have paid for my kids' spring baseball for sure and tennis lessons. But yeah, look, add Mira Andreeva to the conversation. I mean, I saw some people on Twitter saying like, oh, how weak is the top of the women's game? If and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this is a supreme talent that's come along that we've been talking about already for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Add that name to the mix. Don't use that to pull down the Sabalenkas, Igas Swiateks, but say, hey, look, another great player to put up there with the best women in the world, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, I hate the notion of sort of denigrating any other competitor just because Mira Andreeva at 17 is having great success. I think I saw a ridiculous tweet suggesting like Andreeva is what we thought Coco Gauff should be. And I was, Coco Gauff is
where's Coco Gauff gone? She's still there, folks, right?
She's still there, and she's still world number 3 and still in this tournament, as a matter of fact. So for me, so many of these players, they have youth on their side and they're figuring it out. I know Coco Gauff experiencing sort of a slump. I think she's going to figure it out. I mean, she beat Sofia Kenin in 6-love to kick off this tournament. So I think she's going to get things right. Has Wim Fissette in her corner. Aryna Sabalenka, I mean, look, she's still playing great if she's making the finals of Indian Wells and lost in 3 sets to Andreeva. I think she's on the right track, and I think Iga Swiatek is on the right track as well. She was very close, probably, if you think about it, to reaching the Australian Open final against Madison Keys. So a lot of these players, I think the top 10, for the most part, is playing pretty good tennis, to be honest.
This is why, by the way, I limit my time on social media and Twitter. And
I don't blame you.
A lot less than I used to, because I can't handle these ridiculous takes, and I can't handle the amount of, I'm not going to go all political right now, but I can't handle the amount of political content on there these days, especially for us here in Canada. But by the way, it's at McIntyre Tennis. If anyone wants to go on Twitter and encourage me to post a little bit more, I think I just need someone to kind of nudge me in that right direction, because my default for the past year or so has been to stay a little more dormant, except for pushing out our great content on Matchpoint Canada and sharing the interviews we have there. But yeah, the sky is not falling. I think there's so much reason to be optimistic and positive with tennis these days. And if we kind of change the view to Canadian women right now, boy, we've got one who's up and coming and has solidified herself and really announced herself, I feel like, to the non-Canadian stage as well, in Vicky Maboko.
Victoria Maboko, who we discussed her getting the opportunity to get a main draw wild card at this event, her first ever WTA 1000 that she's competing in, and wow, did she ever show herself fabulously! I mean, in her first match, Camila Osorio, and she defeats her for the biggest win of her career. Follows it up against someone who's been world number 2 in the past and a semifinalist in Australia, Paula Badosa. And
And someone who's been playing great lately too this year.
someone's who's having a fantastic year and healthy again, and she pushed her right to the brink, losing in 3 sets in a third set tiebreak. And, I watched an interview with Badosa on the Tennis Channel panel afterwards, and she said, "What a player, fearless, great competitor." And she said she had to dig incredibly deep to find a way to win. And you look at what Vicky's accomplished this season. I mean, the 5 ITF titles, 22 match winning streak, really essentially proving she's so much higher of a level than kind of an ITF player and ready for the WTA stage. And she's proven that already with that win over Osorio and pushing a former world number 2 to 3 sets. I think she's here to stay. Health is the only question for me. If she's healthy, there's no reason she can't break inside the top 100 this season.
And that's what Sharon Fishman said to me when we spoke about her. I kind of said, like, where's Vicky been the past couple of years? Because you and I and fans here in Toronto noticed her a couple summers ago when she was 15 at the National Bank Open, and then really wasn't playing as many North American tournaments, and there were stretches she wasn't playing, and it was injuries that were the issue for the most part. And now here she is looking healthy, and that's what she mentioned to me a few weeks ago when she was on with us on Matchpoint Canada, that she's feeling fit and ready to play, and look what she's able to unleash now. And I think she's ready to graduate to the WTA stage. I don't think we'll be seeing her hopefully playing as many ITF events moving forward this calendar year. Not that she's going to get a wild card into every WTA 1000 tournament, but if she can get into those 125s, those 250s, and start to make her mark there, she certainly seems ready. So I say, like, the training wheels are off. Let her go and let's see what she can do.
Well, I had this thought too. Billie Jean King Cup qualifiers upcoming for Canada in April in Japan. Maboko named to that roster alongside Marina Stakusic, Rebecca Marino. And honestly, like, do you play Maboko as your top singles player?
I was just going to say, who's your lead singles player? To me, you'd be crazy if you're Heidi Altabak, the team captain, not to lead with Vicky.
Yeah, she's playing that well, and that's no disrespect to Marino or Stakusic, who is admittedly struggling right now and has had a few losses in a row. Maboko is running with it right now and proving herself as a top competitor and someone who's ready to, I think, play with the best of the best in the WTA. And Japan's roster is not going to be something overwhelming that I have no reason to think she's not prepared to compete on that stage.
Yeah, and with Leila Annie Fernandez not available to play and Bianca Andreescu still not having returned to the tour, let the kids run with it. I mean, Rebecca Marino's certainly going to be there as the calming veteran presence, and
Yep.
I would imagine she'll get into some singles action. But yeah, let the kids have at it. Give them the experience. Give them the opportunity. Also, we should mention that Ariana Arsenault is going to be there. We've had her on the
Yes.
podcast several times, who's played college ball and is now playing professionally for the first time. Who's very comfortable in both singles and doubles. Let these youngins get their reps in and show what they can do and get the experience, because, one day Leila Annie and Bianca, are gonna, move on, and we still got many years before that happens. But let's see what the younger group can do as well, and they're gonna have their moments too down the road.
Thank you guys so much for watching us at Matchpoint Canada. If you like our work, follow along, hit the subscribe button below.